Hello and welcome to the Monroe Method Clancast. Hi, I'm Jason Monroe. This is episode 150. Feels like a little bit of a milestone. 150. Do you know, if I've done one episode a week, that's almost 3 years of doing this podcast. Almost. Not far away from it. I remember when I recorded the very first episode, when I say 3 years, actually, I've probably not been consistent for 3 years. I have in the last year and a half. But if I think about it, if I started this 3 years ago, I remember recording the first episode because I was a mess trying to do it. I mucked it up so many times. I stopped and started it again so many times. And I was actually in my in-laws' caravan, their little touring caravan, not the static caravan that they have now. Anyway, what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about vegetables. Sorry. Boring topic, I know, but it has to be spoken about. What do I do if I don't like vegetables? You're in trouble if you don't like vegetables. What do you do if you don't like vegetables? You eat them anyway. It's the core message. I have got a whole lesson inside the Monroe Method dedicated to fibre. Now, I know we spoke about fibre before. In the last episode, I feel like I spoke about it a lot. Or did I write an email about it? God, that's confusing when you can't remember where you said something. No, last episode was about alcohol. Maybe I didn't talk about it there, but I'm not going to talk about fibre. I've got a whole lesson dedicated to fibre when people are working through their first week of the Monroe Method. And within that lesson, I explain to people very clearly that you will not be able to, number one, lose weight short-term successfully, like without struggling, and maintain your weight long-term if you are someone who does not eat vegetables. That's it. Now, before your brain starts going into shortcut mode, bypass mode, hack mode, okay, well, how do I get around it? Where's the hints and tips and hacks and biohacking shit going to come from? There isn't any. You will have to eat vegetables. Think of it this way, right? You know, the message is always the same when you listen to these episodes. Whatever it is that you're doing right now and also not doing right now, that's why your weight is where it is or was where it was if you're farther down your journey. I did a check-in yesterday. I set a starting stats yesterday. I looked at this person's 2 days of tracking, and in her words, I'm not big on fruit and vegetables, which and that was an understatement. 1 day of tracking, she had 2,000 and something calories, and she had 3 grams of fibre. That is someone who manages to go through an entire day without eating a single fruit, a single vegetable, not even a vegetable within a sauce or a sandwich or a salad or on a burger or anything. Like 3 grams of fibre could come from a slice of bread, a little bit of pasta. God, it could have come from a biscuit or a cake. 2 grams of fibre is nothing. 3 grams, if I keep saying 2. 3 grams of fibre is nothing. Second day, 5 grams of fibre. Just the same. It could have come from a couple of slices of bread, some pasta, a cake, a biscuit, a fibre 1 bar, a tortilla, a wrap. Now that, I can't pick a word. I'll tell you the both words that popped into my head there. That terrifies me and horrifies me. Now, fibre is important, but we're not getting into fibre. We're getting into the sheer lack of nutrients. Your body runs on the foods that you eat, but it also needs vitamins and minerals. Your hair, your nail, your skins, hair, nails, skin, your immune system, bodily functions, your bones, everything needs nutrients. Do you know, if when you plant a plant, you don't just scrape some soil from anywhere. You get compost and you pot it in compost. Why? Because the compost is full of nutrients. What does that do for the plant? Helps it grow big, tall, strong. Do you know, we recently repotted a lot of plants, or fixed a lot of things in the garden. Plants were, because we're selling the house and the photos were getting taken, plants were looking a bit droopy and a bit shitty. And it's because they'd never been repotted or topped up or anything, or fed even. They're just sitting in this pot of soil that they've been in since you got them, battered with rainwater, no nutrients getting added. So you take out a little of the soil, you top it up with some compost, you give it a little feed, and whoosh, boom, it comes back 10 times better. That's what we're like, walking around, you can tell when someone has like a nutritionally poor diet. Their skin is a kind of different colour. Their face might be breaking out. They might be a bit red around. I mean, there could be a variety of reasons for this, right? But I don't know if you ever remember that show, Super Size versus Super Skinny. This was a long time ago. I don't watch stuff like that as a nutritionist. You don't work during work time, but then also do like work related. So I'm sure many of you have got jobs that are like that. But I remember that this program, Super Size versus Super Skinny, and they would put the 2 tubes of food out and show you what each person was having. And the skinny person, like the skinny people, but most of them were underweight. They all had the same look about them. They were almost like a grey colour. It was like a complexion thing. It's something that sticks. I'm going to look that up, actually. That's the first time I've thought about that. But it's like it's a look. It's a complexion. The skin has no colour. It's very grey, borderline transparent. There's just something about it, and you know that person does not have a nutritious diet. It's like, here's a way to explain it, right? So you have, what shall we call them? You have I can't think of a planner. You have a project planner. There we go. You have a project planner in your brain. And every time you eat, so you eat the food, you digest the food. He's just chilling out, relaxing. You digest the food and you absorb it. And it gets absorbed and it all gets put into pots. Vitamin C goes here. Vitamin B goes here. Vitamin E and K go here. Iron, zinc, all this stuff goes here, here, and here. So imagine these are all inside your body, inside big pots, right? And then the project planner, the nutrient project planner comes along with his little clipboard and says, right, what have we got today? Ooh, plenty of vitamin C, right? And then he'll look at his checklist and it's got an order of priority. Okay, the immune system could be doing with some vitamin C today. Let's send 30% of this to there. The skin could be doing with a little vitamin C top up. Let's send 10% to there, and on it goes. Your body, I don't know what it is off the top of my head. Like, I've never thought about this before. I would have to look it up, but I'm certain it's going to be something that exists. It does exist. But there's an order of priority. It's the reason that, like, when someone doesn't eat much protein, so at the very top of the list for protein, I imagine is going to be muscles and bones. So if you're barely eating any protein and your body has to, like, emergency prioritize it, at the very bottom of the list is going to be things like nails, hair. It's one of the reasons people with low protein intakes see their hair start to fall out, or their fingernails break very easily. They've got no strength to them because your body's effectively rationing the nutrients to those areas. Like, you're not going to die because your fingernails are weak. You won't die without hair, but you're not going to die without muscles or bones. However, you need your muscles or bones to move around to get more of the food that you're not getting. Think back hundreds of years, right? Survivalist kind of mode. No matter what, the body always needs to be able to move to be able to take on calories, basically, to eat energy. So it will leave you with the absolute bare minimal function. And that's the kind of order of priority. What do we need to make sure that this body still gets? Which systems do we need to prioritize? They're in a moment, let's call it starvation. They're going through starvation right now. They don't really need fingernails. They don't really need hair. Their skin doesn't really need to look healthy. Let's shut those down. We're not going to send any nutrients. We're just going to prioritize the emergency systems. We need to make sure that they're breathing, that they're moving, that they have the ability to go and find something to eat, because that's the problem. And that's how it works, right? It prioritizes survival functions, is a good term for it. Now, not eating fruits and vegetables, you're probably not going to die from it, but it's going to be horrendous. And the thing is, you won't even notice it. You'll just, it's like when we speak about the cloud of overconsumption, when you're overeating, when you're putting too much food in your body and you're making yourself feel like shit, but you don't realize it because it's how you live every day. Every morning you wake up feeling groggy and tired and bloated and sluggish because of what you've eaten the night before. But you repeat the same cycle over and over again. And that's just how you live. That becomes your norm. If you don't eat fruits and vegetables, you know, the amount of people I talk to are like, oh, I don't have any energy. I feel rubbish. I've got no motivation. It's a struggle to get out of bed. You know, I get home and I just want to sit on the couch. Like, yeah, because look at your diet. Of course you're going to feel like that. You do not have the diet of a person who has lots of get up and go and is going to feel great every day. You have the diet of the person that you are, the way that you feel. I think one of the biggest problems with vegetables is that it's not explained to us in a meaningful, tangible way how fucking important they are. If you don't eat vegetables, you will feel like shit. If you don't eat fruit, you will feel like shit. That's it. Do you want to feel like shit? No. Well, why are you not eating vegetables then? Oh, because I don't like them. And that brings me back to this part, right? You will see a lot of online PTs and coaches who put recipes with vegetables, or like, you know, they'll get questions from people that say, what if I don't like vegetables? And they will all answer the same way. They'll tell you to grow up. I'm not going to do that because I'm not a dick. Because you're allowed not to like things. You're allowed to have a history where your parents didn't put vegetables on your plate, or your parents managed to put you off vegetables by trying to force you to eat them. That's what happened to me when I was a kid. You will not leave the table until you've finished those peas. Whereas with my kids, I make deals with them. Am I finished? Is your tummy full? Yep. Okay, but you've still got vegetables on your plate. Could you eat one more forkful of peas for me, please? Okay. Done. That's how I do it, in case anyone's curious. Also, don't give kids sweets right after dinner or ice cream, because they will rush their dinner to try and get onto the good stuff. Give it a good hour at least, because they'll say they're finished just to skip to the next thing. My youngest is sneaky like that. Can I have a nice lolly now? Nope. Why not? I've finished my dinner. Because you're not getting it till later. Mm-hmm. Are you still hungry? A little bit. Eat some more dinner then, please. So yeah, I was put off vegetables as a kid. Now, I love them. I could not sit and eat a burger without a pile of salad on it. I wouldn't enjoy it as much. I've gotten into this habit. There's this, Aldi do this incredible frozen pakora ball things. They also do salt and pepper ones, no, salt and chili ones. But the pakora ones come in a purple bag. In Scotland, I don't know about anywhere else because I know it's sourced from Scotland. In Scotland, in the fridge section, they also have a local pakora sauce and a local spiced onions that get made. Bag of pakora, spiced onions, pakora sauce, and I get a bag of like the mixed crunchy salad. That's a dinner. Get a bowl, dump the salad in the bottom, pakora comes out the air fryer, chopped in half, goes on top, few dollops of sauce on it, spice onions in the corner, boom. High protein, high fibre dinner. Nutritious, vegetables, salad. It's all there. You know, and I was someone who hated vegetables. For me now, a meal's not complete unless it has vegetables on it. Now, I'm not suggesting that's where you're going to get to, but it might be if you give it a chance. So anyway, like I said, I'm not going to call you a child because you don't like vegetables. What I am going to do is explain something to you to make you do it anyway. There are many things in this world that we do not like, and yet we do the thing anyway because we place or attach a lot of value to it. Here's some normal examples. In fact, no, these are all normal examples. Work. Your job, your specific job. Some of you love your job. I love my job. Many of you hate your job. I've had jobs that I hated, but I had to go to them. Because if I didn't, my house would get repossessed. I wouldn't be able to have a life. I wouldn't be able to buy clothes. I'd be naked. I wouldn't be able to eat. I wouldn't be able to do things. I wouldn't be able to provide for my family or put a roof over my kids' heads or even have kids and afford them. High value reasons for getting up every day and sitting at a desk to make money. In an ideal world, I'm sure we would all love not to work until we got bored and then found something else to do. Would you quit your job tomorrow? If you would, then you probably don't like your job very much or like working very much, and I'm sure you would rather not be doing it, and yet you do it anyway. Here's a great one. Alcohol. Find me someone that loves a hangover. Find me someone that absolutely loves waking up in the morning and the room's spinning and they feel sick and their breath's making them want to heave. They want to eat, but they can't think about food. They want to get up to get a drink, but they don't want to stand up. All they're thinking about is getting painkillers to make this pain go away. Why did I drink last night? Why do I do this to myself? You do it because you fucking love it. You hate the hangover part. You know you're going to get a hangover. And yet you drink alcohol anyway. So if you don't like vegetables, then what's the pathway to making you do it anyway? And it's to build as much value around it as you place on other things that you don't like doing. Nobody likes ironing. Nobody likes chores, but they all have to be done if you don't want to live in a shithole or your clothes to be all creased. We all have jobs that we hate doing and we do them anyway. If you don't like vegetables, you need to get to a place with them as well. And I'm going to try and help. So let's go back to what I said in the beginning. If you are someone who is struggling, of course you are, because you wouldn't be listening to this. But if you are someone who's struggling with your weight and has always struggled with their weight, and you do not eat vegetables or fruit or both, there is a direct link there. A direct link. And this comes back to, so if you're a member, you'll know that we go through this lesson on day 2 called food attachments, where every food-related habit that we have, all the things that we're doing and all the things that we're not doing, all have their own portion of weight attributed to them. If you're someone that doesn't eat any fruits and vegetables, you are an exceptionally unhealthy person. And that's not what do you call it when you're being rude to someone? That's not no. What do you call it when you say something mean to someone? No, not criticism. It's not the word I want. Like, it's not a slander. I'm not calling you a name. You know, if you call someone a dickhead, what do you... Abusive? I don't know. I'm not trying to be mean. It's a statement of fact. I know that if you don't eat fruits and vegetables, you do not have nutrients in your diet. Even if you're taking a multivitamin, you're probably taking some cheap one from Home Bargains or B&M that's got absolutely nothing in it. You are an exceptionally unhealthy person. If there was a way to measure your insides, you would be horrified by what you see. And that's the other thing. Coming back to what I said about it not being tangible. If you're overweight, you can see it. You feel it. You have to buy bigger clothes. It's in your face all the time. Every time you look in the mirror, every time you're washing your body in the shower, you have to run your hands over it. You can't look in the mirror and see how much vitamin C you're getting. You can't look in the mirror and see what your Vit B is or what your iron levels are. You have to wait until you feel like shit and you're fatigued and you've got brain fog and you feel crap and you go to the doctors and they do blood work and they say, oh, you're iron deficient. You're vitamin D deficient. Here's a supplement. Here's a pill to fix the thing that's created by your diet. It's going to fix it, but you're just going to go back to normal again because you've not changed your diet. So, yeah, we need to attach value to it. So, do you know what doesn't work? Telling people, yeah, if you have a high fibre diet and you eat plenty of fruits and vegetables, you're going to reduce your risk of this and this and this. People are so bored of that message. Like, we constantly get hammered with these things that mean absolutely nothing. They mean nothing. Yeah, if you do this, you're going to increase your risk of this. And I know people who have been fit their whole life and had heart attacks at 45. I know people who have never touched a drop of alcohol, never smoked in their life, and they've got cancer. You know, we make all these connections. It just gets to a point where you're like, so fucking what? Whatever I'm going to get, I'm going to get. Risk, no risk, high risk, low risk. People put on the lottery not thinking they're going to win it, but somebody will at some point. Sometimes that feels what health's like, doesn't it? Like it's a lottery. We're all going to get something at some point. My father-in-law's got Parkinson's. That'll eventually go into dementia, I think. I've got family who have had cancer, leukemia, heart attacks, strokes, horrific accidents, 3 limbs amputated. Life is a bit of a lottery. But you can't think like that, because you have to bring your thinking back to the here and now. So ask yourself this question: am I living the best version of life? Am I truly happy with everything that I'm doing, with the way that I eat, with the way that I drink, the time I spend scrolling, the way I speak to my kids, the way I am with my partner? I had a fucking brilliant NSV. Sorry, just to interject here. I had a brilliant NSV last week. One of my clients put in our NSV section, I don't know if this is TMI, it never is, by the way, so if you're listening to this and I'm working with you, nothing is ever TMI. You don't have anything I haven't heard a million times before. But she said, for the first time, I can't remember if it was in months or years, it might have been a year or two, I've wanted to be intimate with my partner again. Imagine that. Improving your diet, improving your health. As a result of that, improving your mood, improving your mental health, improving your well-being, increasing your libido, finding yourself attractive again, attractive enough that you want to be intimate, that you can improve the connection that you have with your partner from what? Eating more protein, eating more fibre, taking better care of yourself, increasing your quality of life. Get rid of this idea that we're only doing these things to make the scales come down. That's how people get trapped in this never-ending yo-yo diet cycle. It's all about the scales. It's so fucking boring. Oh, that's another pound. That's another pound. Oh, that's a half pound. That's a maintain. What a fucking miserable existence. Waking up every Tuesday morning, going to Slimming World Class. What's it going to be today for the fucking 20th year in a row? What an exhausting, degrading way to live. Oh, well done. Clap, clap, clap. That's the same pound you've been losing for the last 20 years, but it doesn't matter. Just keep coming back. Just stay on plan. You'll get there eventually. You need to expand your minds. We don't just eat vegetables so we can lose weight. We don't just have healthy extras and speed foods while we're dieting. We look back and say, right, why am I in this? Sorry, I'm very worked up today. I don't know why. That's why I'm swearing so much. Why am I in this position? Right? And this is what I did. If you don't know my backstory, I ate and drank a lot throughout my late teens, early 20s, as I imagine most people do, or many people do. No, not most, many. That resulted in me going up to, I remember, like 21, 22, I was around 13 stone. I went on holiday. My mum took me on holiday to the Costa del Sol for my 21st. I'd also bought a house, my flat, that year. Spending lots of time indoors. The girlfriend that I had at the time, we were both into gaming. We both had gaming PCs. We would sit in this room, our third bedroom together. That was the gaming room. Going from a job where I sat on my ass all day to a hobby where I sat on my ass all night, combined with, ordering takeaways so we didn't have to waste time cooking and drinking at the same time. course my weight was going to go up. And then what happens when your weight goes up and you've got a long history of yo-yo dieting in your family? You start yo-yo dieting. Oh, I'll give that not Weight Watchers. I'll give that Scottish Slimmers a try. Let's see what that's like. What's this cabbage soup diet? What's this military diet? What's this Atkins it was back then? What's this Atkins that everyone's talking about? Done them all. Made up my own diets. I did the beans on toast diet. 1 slice of bread, half a tin of beans, 3 times a day. Super cheap. Unwittingly, high-ish fibre, high-ish protein. Who knew? Back in my 20s, that's why that was effective. But you can't eat beans and toast for the rest of your life. Yes, it's a vegetable. It's only one vegetable, though. Which is another issue. You can't get all your nutrients from one thing. Meaning, so there's this thing that comes up occasionally, not so much anymore. But in the past, inside the Monroe method, somebody would post a recipe and be like, oh, look at this recipe, guys. It's 20 grams of fibre in a single meal. I'm like, oh my God. Not this again. And then I have to do a post about it and explain, this is awesome. However, if you're, it was bran flakes, quark, raspberries, chia seeds, and something else. But it was a fibre explosion. High fibre. It was it made some kind of breakfast cheesecake thing, right? And I explained, this is great, but if the majority of your fibre in a day is just coming at breakfast, and it's only coming from a teaspoon of chia seeds, raspberries and bran flakes, that's great. I don't know off the top of my head the exact nutrients all of those contain, but it's not going to be enough to top up all of the vitamins and minerals that you need in your diet. You'll get whatever you get from raspberries, you'll get what you get from bran flakes, and you'll get a little bit from the chia seeds. But apart from that, what about the rest of the stuff that you need? This is why we talk so much about balance. Balance, variety, diversity. It's why we talk about colour. I've said this many times before. Lettuce. Lettuce is a great addition to any diet. It's a plant, it contains nutrients, it's low in calories, it adds filling power to the diet. A great addition to a healthy, balanced diet. But what would happen if you ate nothing but lettuce, your diet comprised entirely of lettuce? You would die. Eventually. Why? Through malnutrition. Oh, but I'm eating a vegetable. Yeah. That vegetable does not contain protein. It doesn't contain many calories, not much energy. It's got some nutrients in it, but not enough. It's like saying, why am I so dehydrated? I had a teaspoon of water today. It's not enough. Yeah, you got some, but you're not getting enough. So, vegetables. How do we get vegetables into the diet? Well, number one, you eat them. What if you don't like eating them? You build enough value around it so that you want to. Now, there are many ways to bypass this. Now, I have clients who can't eat vegetables for medical reasons, or they can only eat some. So people with gastric issues, people with IBS, people with Crohn's, people who've had their bowels removed. There are many reasons why someone might not be able to eat vegetables. What can they do instead? They'll get supplementation from their doctor. Literally, they'll have a dietitian when they're going through that process and say, look, you're not going to be able to eat these foods, which means these nutrients are going to be missing, which means you're going to have to supplement these things with pills. And that's fine. But you can do your best the rest of the time with your diet so as not to cause yourself any discomfort or issues, but you're still going to have to top yourself up, or you're going to be very, not ill, but you're going to be unhealthy, like we spoke about before. It all comes down to this, right? Your body has a number of needs. And the way that we balance things, the way that we have a happy, healthy, fit, productive life, I don't think that's the right thing to say. It's not the right thing to say. Let's keep it to the body, right? The way that we have a blah, blah, blah body is we give it everything that it needs every single day. After that, what you're left with is other issues. You can have an amazing diet and still be a very sad person. You can exercise your socks off and still have anxiety. Like, taking care of your body, reducing your weight, these things don't solve everything, but they make life less hard. They make life less challenging. Think about this. Today is going to go however today is going to go, right? If you got 2 hours sleep last night, how's today going to go? It's going to be difficult. What if you got 8 hours sleep last night? It might still be difficult because we don't know what's going to happen today, but it won't be as challenging because you've got 8 hours worth of sleep in the bank to face those challenges head on versus 2 hours of sleep in the bank to get so far and then give up and just say, fuck it, I'll just start again tomorrow. We sleep, we stay hydrated, we eat protein, we eat fruit, we eat vegetables. What else? I mean, that's the basics, that's it. I know sometimes it can sound overwhelming, sometimes the amount of people who come and do check-ins with me and it's like, do you need any additional support at the bottom of the check-in form? Yeah, protein ideas. You don't need protein ideas. You need to eat more protein. I know that sounds incredibly simplistic, but when people come to me asking about ideas for something they already know about, it's because they're trying to make it too difficult. They're trying to overwhelm themselves. Protein comes from meat, dairy, fish, which I also class as meat. I don't know why some people separate it. Meat, dairy, fish. I don't include eggs. Eggs are, especially for fat loss. Eggs, are they a protein source? Yes. Do we eat them for protein? No. Why? Well, because they're a fat source more than a protein source. The whites have got protein in them. The yolks have got a little tiny bit of protein, but they're mostly fat. So they become quite an expensive way to consume protein, meaning if an egg is 90 calories, say, and it's got 4 grams of protein in it, there's 4 calories in a gram of protein. So you're having to spend 90 calories to get 16 calories worth of protein. That's what I mean by expensive. Whereas if you eat a chicken breast or tuna or turkey or any kind of lean meat, or if you drink a protein shake, those are, in a calorie perspective, inexpensive ways to get protein because they don't come with everything else. They don't come with a bunch of carbs and a bunch of fat. So we call those very lean sources of protein where, if you're getting 20 grams of protein from something and it's costing you 90 calories, that's a good deal. 80 calories worth of protein for 90 calories, or like a protein shake off the top of my head. Like if you spend 130 calories on a protein shake, you're going to get between 22 to 26 grams of protein, depending what other stuff they put in it. That's a good deal compared to things like eggs, which I would put on the same level as like peanuts, for example. Peanuts are a great source of protein, but they're an expensive source of protein because they're also high in fat. So again, spending lots of calories to get a little bit protein. Okay, so back to the point. Protein comes from meat, dairy, fish. You will find it in some plant sources. It's more challenging to get from plants because you don't get it in as significant quantities. Let's not go down the vegetarian vegan route today. I'm nearly done anyway. So if you want to eat more protein, you need more of those foods in your diet. What if you don't eat any of those foods? Well, then you need to supplement your diet. If you're vegetarian or vegan, vegetarian's not so bad because they can lean on dairy. I had somebody recently who's like, I'm a vegetarian, but I also don't eat dairy. Okay, and they're getting like 20 grams of protein a day, which is reaching like protein deficiency zone. Nobody wants to be protein deficient. Do you know when you see the adverts on the TV and they show you kids in Africa and they ask you to contribute just so much a day to help feed a child? They're protein deficient. That's what protein deficiency is. Skin wrapped around bones, very little muscle to be seen, swollen tummies, can barely move, lying on a bed. That's protein deficiency. We're very fortunate in where we are that we, even people who are struggling, but still have access to food banks, like we still have a protein-rich country. You can still eat cheaply and still be getting protein in your diet. Chicken nuggets, for example. You can still be getting protein in the diet. Anyway, let's not go down that route. If you want to eat more protein, you need to eat more protein. And people see all this shit. I hate this. And you'll never see posts like this from me. I hate it so much. Glorifying individual foods. Where do I get vitamin? Just eat fruit and veg, right? Don't get hung up on where do I get vitamin C. People say, I've been to the doctor and they said I've got an iron deficiency. And they said that I need to eat more red meat or I need to eat more spinach. And it's just these ridiculous recommendations. It's like, yeah, you do need to eat more meat. Just eat a little less chicken, a little more red meat. You're one of these people who maybe doesn't eat any red meat. But your fibre intake's also very low. So let's try and get some vegetables in the diet, some diversity. Don't just pick up a carrot, chop them up and put them on your plate and think that's adding vegetables. I would challenge you to add 3 or 4 vegetable portions to every dinner. If you ever see the dinners that I post on my stories, it's not intentional. That's just how I like eating. I don't like pushing my food choices onto other people. I like showing them to give you an example. I don't like pressing my choices because that's what I like. It might not be what you like. But if, we usually have like a roast dinner on a Sunday. Chicken, I don't like mash, but I have it anyway. But chicken, my wife likes it. Chicken, mash. And then the vegetables will be sweet corn, carrots, broccoli, cauliflower. I think that's all you would have, or I would have with that. Doesn't mean it's all you should have with it. But if you balance your plates 50% vegetables, you don't have to worry about multivitamins or becoming deficient or feeling like crap because of your diet. Not from a health perspective anyway. How do I get more vegetables in the diet? You eat them. How do I get more fruit in my diet? You eat it. Instead of having crisps as a snack, go get an apple. Instead of having biscuits as a snack, go get a banana. Doesn't mean never eat biscuits and never eat crisps. It just means, if you're having 5 or 6 snacks in a day and none of them are fruit, replace 2 of them with fruit. If your plates, if you're someone who does not think to put a single vegetable on your plate, of which there are many people, start putting 1 on your plate. And here's the wild thing. I do check-ins with people where, and this is where the experience part comes in, because in their check-in, in their forum, it will be like, oh my God, I'm eating so much more fruit and veg, I feel great, blah, blah, blah. And then you look at their tracking. You look at their screenshots and they're getting 3 or 4 grams of fibre when they were getting 2. Or, sorry, no, maybe not 3 or 4. Maybe they're getting like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 grams of fibre, and before they were getting 3 or 4. Now, that's still a concerningly low level. But you have to remember that to that person, they have doubled their intake. They might have gone from eating absolutely no fruits and vegetables to having 1 piece of fruit, 1 piece of fruit, and 2 vegetable portions. To someone who who's never had any of these things ever, that's going to feel like a lot. And you have to understand that when you're working with people like that and say, that's amazing. This is a great start. I want you to keep this up. And for the next couple of weeks, let's just keep focusing on where can I build more vegetables into my diet. I don't think I got into the whole vegetables dilute calories thing, but I feel like I've spoken about that a few times in the recent episodes. But just to round off, remember, if your health isn't enough to get you to do it, if improving your quality of life isn't enough to get you to do it, if reducing your weight isn't enough, then remember that if you don't eat fruits and vegetables, you have an expensive diet from a calorie perspective. You are spending a lot of calories every day to eat more calories than you need, which is why your weight goes up. When your diet has fruits and vegetables in it, the calories in it come down because the space that was occupied by higher calorie foods now gets occupied by lower calorie foods. Calorie content comes down, and project that Project that 20 years into the future. How many thousands and thousands and thousands of calories would you not eat simply by having more fruits and vegetables in your diet? And how many pounds, how many stones might that equate to? You know, you have the potential to save yourself from not just short-term, not just from being overweight short-term, but long-term weight gain. And this is the thing, like, it's not about like never gaining weight ever again. That's going to happen. But it's like, at which scale do you want to do it? If you are someone who is used to gaining and losing a couple of stone every year, because that's your yo-yo diet history, let's say we don't work together. Let's say the one thing that you changed was that you listened to this episode and you became someone who brought a lot more fruits and vegetables into your diet. Instead of losing and gaining 2 stone every year, you might lose and gain half a stone every year because of the calories that's replaced. So remember, every action that we take affects the outcome. Oh, you numpty. She walked around the bollard and got the lead tied up. Right, enough from me. Until next time.